Imagine a war so long that knights fought it, their sons inherited it, and their grandchildren died in its shadow. A war where kingdoms rose and fell, where betrayal and conquest redefined Europe, and where legends were born in fire and faith. It was not a war of years, but of centuries. A struggle that lasted 116 years. A war of crowns, of pride, of untold secrets, and of destiny. Welcome to Echoes of Empire, where we bring the forgotten stories of Britain's past back to life. The story begins in 1337. England and France were already uneasy neighbors. Their kings were bound by blood and yet divided by ambition. The English king, Edward III, was the grandson of a French monarch. By lineage, he believed he had the right to claim the French throne. But the French crowned their own king, Philip VI of Valois. 2 men, 1 throne, 2 kingdoms, 1 destiny. This was not just a quarrel of nobles. It was a clash that would set Europe ablaze for over a century. Here we expand with cinematic storytelling. Edward's declaration of war, French resistance, first campaigns in Gascony, naval clashes at Sluys, painting visuals of burning ships and roaring seas. The first great shock of the war came at Crécy, 1346. Picture the scene. French knights, armored and proud, charging across the field. Against them, English longbowmen, peasants with simple bows of yew wood. And yet, volley after volley of arrows rained down, piercing armor, felling horses, turning nobles into corpses in the mud. It was not chivalry, but slaughter. The age of the knight was dying, and a new kind of war was rising. From Crécy to Poitiers, England struck blow after blow. Even the French king, John II, was captured in battle and carried off to London. For a moment, England seemed destined to rule not just its island, but France itself. But destiny is never simple. In 1347, as armies clashed, another enemy swept across Europe, the Black Death. Villages emptied. Armies withered. Priests buried thousands in mass graves. In some towns, half the population was gone. The war slowed, but it did not stop. Soldiers returned to fields already haunted by death. For England and France, the plague was not mercy. It was devastation. But it also reshaped the balance of power. Kings died. Taxes rose. Peasants rebelled. And the war, once between crowns, became a struggle for the very survival of nations. Decades later, another king rose to claim destiny, Henry V of England. In 1415, he invaded France, determined to seize what Edward III had claimed generations before. On October 25th, at Agincourt, the English were outnumbered 5-1. Mud clung to boots, rain soaked the fields, the French charged. Again, arrows darkened the sky. Again, knights fell in heaps. The mud became a grave. Against all odds, Henry V triumphed. Agincourt was not just a battle, it was a legend. The glory of England, the humiliation of France. For a moment, it seemed England might finally take the French crown. But history had another secret. From a small village in Domremy came a girl, untrained, unknown, and unarmed. Joan of Arc. She claimed visions from God, declaring that she was chosen to save France. At first, the nobles laughed. But her fire could not be ignored. She rallied armies, lifted the siege of Orléans, and carried the French king to his coronation. Joan became a symbol, a spark of faith that turned despair into hope. But betrayal followed her. Captured by the English, she was burned at the stake as a heretic. Yet her death gave France something no army could destroy: belief. By 1453, the tide had turned. France was reborn, united, and unbroken. England, drained of money, men, and spirit, could no longer hold its dream. The 100 Years' War ended, not with England triumphant, but with France ascendant. England's kings abandoned their claims to the French throne. Only Calais remained in English hands. The war had transformed both kingdoms. Feudal knights gave way to standing armies. Dynasties shifted. The medieval world was dying, and the dawn of modern Europe was rising. The 100 Years' War was not one war, but 100 battles, betrayals, and rebirths. It was the story of crowns, of conquest, of betrayal and glory. From the fields of Crécy to the fire of Joan of Arc, its echoes still shape Europe today. This was not just war. It was destiny. This was Echoes of Empire, Subscribe for more untold stories from the heart of Britain's history.